Discover the heartwarming moment a poor girl's perfect French uncovered a billionaire's hidden truth, in a worn-down Midwestern town, where faded storefronts whispered tales of days gone by. Lily Martinez dreamed of something bigger. At just 17, she watched her mom, a spirited waitress at the local diner, juggle long hours and endless drudgery. Every night, after the last plate was served, they'd huddle in their tiny kitchen, where the scents of spices and tortillas filled the air. Together, they reminisced about family recipes and the kitchen magic her grandmother once wove into their meals. "Remember, Lily," her mom would say, "respect and kindness go a long way, no matter what." One ordinary day turned monumental as a renowned French culinary school announced a scholarship contest. Lily's heart leaped. She could showcase her family's famous taco recipes and the French she'd perfected while curled up by her grandma, their laughter mingling with the old films playing in the background. This was her chance, a shot to escape a cycle that felt suffocating, but the contest had an unexpected twist. One of the judges was Mr. Thornton, the town's reclusive billionaire. He was a figure of wealth and mystery, and rumors of his disdain for their struggling community were whispered behind closed doors. When Lily learned this, her spirit quaked against its chains of doubt. Did she dare to face someone who built walls as tall as his bank account? As the competition approached, she poured her heart into every dish. Each taco brimmed with memories, every seasoning a testament to her family's strength. Yet, Mr. Thornton remained detached, his gaze scanning the room with an air of indifference. Then, a storm raged through town. Winds howled, and rain overshot rooftops, flooding streets as darkness cloaked the skies. The diner turned into a shelter for those in need, and for the first time, the community rallied around each other. Amid the chaos, Lily sprang into action, setting up tables and serving hot meals, her own worries eclipsed by the urgent demands of the moment. The sight of her kindness moved even Mr. Thornton, as he reluctantly picked up a mop and joined. "You know," he said quietly, a weight in his tone, "you don't have to do this." Lily smiled, her eyes glistening. "But we do. We're all in this together." Just then, an awe-inspiring moment struck. Overwhelmed locals emerged from the shadows, joining in. Lily stood in her element, whipping up a taco feast that warmed hearts as much as stomachs. Mr. Thornton, lost in the sea of generosity and camaraderie, began to question everything he had held as true about his wealth and importance. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the storm began to wane, the winds murmured soft promises. With plates piled high, Lily surprised everyone with a special dish, blending French cuisine with their beloved tacos. The flavors burst like fireworks, igniting laughter and joy, but just as Mr. Thornton's icy exterior started to melt, a shadow from his past threatened to rise, lurking like the clouds outside. Would he retreat back into his world of wealth, or could he embrace the warmth of a community he had denied for so long? The room held its breath, waiting for his decision, a moment that could change everything for them all. Lily felt a flutter of thoughts racing through her mind as she served the last of the sizzling tacos. The storm outside had diminished, but inside the diner, a charged energy filled the air. Conversation swelled, laughter echoed, and for a brief moment, the community felt whole again. It was a sight to behold, the kind of beauty that made her heart swell with hope, but there was Mr. Thornton, standing at the edge of the gathering, caught in his own storm of emotions. He watched, arms crossed, still as a statue. For years he had built walls around his heart, convinced that vulnerability was a sign of weakness. Now, confronted by the kindness of strangers and the warmth radiating from Lily's spirit, his defenses began to crack. She noticed his frown, the way his brow knitted as memories flickered across his mind. Was it regret? Guilt? The way he held himself suggested a man wrestling with his past, weighed down by burdens he had long tried to ignore. "Mr. Thornton," she called out, catching his gaze with a friendly smile. "Would you like to join us for a taco? I promise, it's a mix of cultures that comes from the heart." He hesitated, the flicker of surprise evident on his face. Was anyone ever this approachable? The community he had distanced himself from suddenly felt different in this moment, more alive and radiant than he had ever allowed himself to see. Children giggled as they chased each other around, while families shared stories and recipes, thickening the atmosphere with shared history. "Maybe just one," he replied, his voice almost a whisper, as if he were afraid the moment would shatter with louder words. As Lily handed him a plate piled with her signature tacos, her heart raced with anticipation. "I hope they remind you of something good," she said, pouring a bit of her soul into every word. For the first time that night, Mr. Thornton smiled, a tentative curve of his lips, but it was a start. He took a bite, and she could see it in his eyes, surprise, followed by delight. A rush of flavor, a burst of memories. His childhood, the simplicity of good food, reminded him of a time when laughter came easily, but just as he began to lose himself in the experience, a loud crash echoed from outside. The rattle of a trash can startled everyone, and the doorway darkened as the gusts of wind picked up again. A familiar figure stumbled in, soaked to the bone. It was Mrs. Thompson, the elderly woman from 2 blocks down. I couldn't get back home," she gasped, wiping her brow with a trembling hand. "The floodwaters, they're rising again." Panic rippled through the crowd. Every bit of warmth evaporated as concern spread, their attention turned to the more pressing matter at hand. Lily's heart sank. Just as they began to feel united, another crisis emerged. "Let us get her some towels and something warm to drink," Lily commanded, her voice steady, rallying those around her. Mr. Thornton stood at her side, thrust into action by her determination. He could hesitate no longer while suffering unfolded before his eyes. The warmth of community beckoned him, urging him to step away from his past. As they hurried to help Mrs. Thompson, a flicker of something new ignited within Thornton, a spark of hope. He had been given a rare glimpse into a world filled with love and connection, yet uncertainty still clouded his mind. Would he truly be a part of this, or would he allow himself dissolve back into his isolation? Amidst the clamor, as Lily served the bewildered townsfolk, the unspoken question danced in the air: could Mr. Thornton let himself be part of this fractured community, or was he destined to remain a spectator, watching lives unfold from a distance? With one decision, he could alter the course for them all, but would he choose to embrace it? The diner bustled as everyone rallied around Mrs. Thompson, grabbing towels, blankets, and cups of steaming tea. Lily felt the energy shift, fear and urgency propelled her as she moved from one table to the next, organizing help. Mr. Thornton, still clutching his plate of tacos, hesitated, unsure of what to do with himself in this whirlwind of compassion. "Here, let me help you," he finally said, surprising himself as he set the tacos aside and grabbed a towel from a nearby stack. He squeezed it in his hands before handing it to Mrs. Thompson, whose eyes widened in gratitude. "Thank you, dear," she murmured, the lines on her face softening for a moment. Lily caught Thornton's eye, and in that brief second, something shifted. Her warmth and resolve uncoiled the tight knot inside him. It wasn't just a moment of crisis, it was a moment of community, a chance to feel more than just an observer. He took a deep breath, feeling a rush of courage that he hadn't experienced in ages. "I'll go check on the basement," he said. The words spilled out before he could second-guess himself. "Make sure the flood isn't coming in." "Good idea," Lily encouraged, her voice bright with admiration. As Thornton made his way to the back, a sense of purpose replaced the heaviness that had built within him for years. He pushed open the door leading to the basement steps. The dimly lit room lay before him like a forgotten place in his mind. He pulled a flashlight from his pocket and flicked it on, illuminating the dust and remnants of past floods. He stepped cautiously, listening for any sounds of water creeping in. As he walked, memories flooded his mind, the laughter of children playing, families gathering, friends lending a hand. He had almost forgotten such feelings existed. It was a different life, one he had turned his back on long ago. In the far corner, he noticed a small crack in the wall, and a trickle of water dripped slowly down. His heart raced, but excitement mingled with fear. He had the chance to make a difference here, to become part of something real again. The apprehension that had held him back for so long began to fade. Just as he knelt down to inspect the crack more closely, he heard a familiar voice call from behind him. "Mr. Thornton." It was Lily. He turned to see her standing at the top of the stairs, her face twisted with concern. "Are you okay down there?" she shouted. He hesitated for a heartbeat, then stood up, raising the flashlight toward her. "There's a leak. Even a trickle could get worse if the rain doesn't stop." Lily's expression shifted from worry to determination. "We need to get some supplies. If we can seal it up, we might stop the flooding completely." The way she spoke ignited a flame of bravery in him. "I'll help you gather what we need," he replied, newfound confidence surging through him. As they quickly devised a plan, he felt a sense of belonging he hadn't sensed in years. He found himself smiling at her, truly smiling, not just at the tacos that had sparked this connection, but at the person who had brought the town together tonight. "Let us do this," she said, her blue eyes shining with hope. Together, they rushed back into the diner, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The storm outside might still rage, but inside, something incredible was growing: a bond, a community, and the promise of acceptance. But just as they prepared to tackle the leak, a flicker of lightning illuminated the diner, accompanied by a loud crash that sent a jolt through the crowd. "What was that?" someone shouted, fear creeping back into the warmth. Lily exchanged worried glances with Thornton. They had faced one storm, but now they were on the brink of facing another. Would they be able to keep the floodwaters at bay, both inside and out? The challenge ahead loomed large, and the fate of the community hung in the balance. And in that moment, Thornton realized he had to confront not just the storm outside but the one in his heart. Would he truly commit to this new life, or would he retreat once again? Thunder rumbled overhead, shaking the diner's windows as if the very earth trembled with the storm's fury. Lily felt the air grow thick with unease. It was no longer just the weather that threatened their efforts. The diner fell silent, everyone exchanging fearful glances, the boiling energy from a moment ago now replaced by palpable anxiety. "Everyone, stay calm," Lily called out, her voice steady despite the uncertainty washing over her. People turned to her, desperate for direction. "Let us get back to work. We can't let fear stop us." Just then, Mr. Thornton stepped forward, standing beside her, a newfound sense of purpose radiating from him. "I've got a flashlight and some experience. Let me lead the way to the basement." He met her gaze, steady and firm. Lily nodded, her heart racing not just from fear but from the connection sparking between them. "Thank you, Mr. Thornton. We both know the basement won't hold if we don't act fast." As they began to retrieve supplies from the diner's storeroom, towels, buckets, and sealing tape, Mrs. Thompson approached them, her hair damp and her brow furrowed with worry. "What do you need me to do?" "Help us gather as many towels as you can," Lily instructed, her urgency sparking action. "We may need to soak up water quickly." Mrs. Thompson nodded and hurried off. A few more patrons joined in, forming an impromptu brigade as they rushed around, their fear transforming into focused determination. With every passing moment, the storm raged on outside, the heavy rain pounding down on the diner's roof. Thornton felt the pressure in the air, an impending weight, a noise building within him that matched the thunder above. "Lily," he said, almost hesitantly. "What if it's too late? What if the damaged wall can't be fixed quickly enough?" She turned to him, eyes fierce, an ember of hope flickering between them. "Then we will adapt. We will rise to whatever comes. The people in this diner are together in this. We're a community, and that counts for something." The strength in her words seemed to press against the darkness wrapping around him, and for the first time, he truly believed it. As they descended into the basement, the flashlight beam darted around the room, casting long shadows across the damp walls. They worked quickly, sealing the crack, moving with an urgency that transformed their fear into a rhythm, like the heartbeat of their community thrumming in unison. Above them, the sound of water splattering against the floor echoed, mingling with the laughter and chatter from the diner as those above stayed hopeful. "Do you feel it?" she asked, breaking the silence that enveloped them as they paused for a moment, sweat glistening on their brows. This feeling of being part of something? Not just here, but everywhere." He looked at her, caught off guard by the intensity of her gaze. "Yeah, I do," he confessed. "For a long time, I forgot what this felt like." "This is our moment," she said, her smile bright, illuminating the shadows that still lingered in the basement. To choose connection over isolation. But their fragile realization was disrupted when another crash of lightning illuminated the room, and the sound of a loud thud reverberated through the basement ceiling, as if the storm above was warning them. What was that? Thornton's heart raced, dread creeping in again. Lily's smile faded. That might have been something from the roof giving way. Her voice trailed off, uncertainty replacing her previous strength. "We can't let that stop us." His voice was firm, resolve igniting within him again. But as he glanced at the cracked wall, the rain dancing relentlessly, he wondered if they really had enough time. Little did they know, another challenge was brewing, one that would test not just their courage but the strength of their community bond. The ultimate storm was still yet to come. The air in the basement was thick with tension as another crack echoed through the diner above. Thornton gripped the flashlight tightly, its beam flickering against the bare walls. "What if the roof collapses?" he murmured, half to himself. Lily wiped her brow, her hands shaking slightly as she struggled to steady her breath. "We can't think like that. We have to believe we can hold it together." She looked at Thornton, and for an instant, the storm seemed to fade. It was just the two of them in that cramped space, battling the weight of uncertainty. His gaze locked onto hers, and she felt a flutter deep in her chest, a moment of connection that drew her closer to him, but the moment shattered as another crash reverberated through the basement, rattling the pipes overhead. The dim light from the flashlight quivered, and the shadows danced ominously around them. "We need to finish sealing that wall," Thornton said, urgency surging back. They moved swiftly to the crack, using the tape and towels they had gathered. With every layer of tape they laid down, their hearts raced faster. "Lily!" Mrs. Thompson's voice called from above, her panic rising. "The water is coming in faster. We can't keep up with it." The weight of her words sank in. Lily's stomach twisted with dread. "We have to get back up there. If the floor gives way, we'll be trapped down here." Humans have instincts and fears but also an unyielding will to survive. Thornton's resolve surged, urging her forward. "Let us go," he said. Together, they climbed the damp steps back into the diner, and the sight before them made her heart sink. Water pooled on the floor, glistening under the sour light of the diner's neon signs. Customers were scrambling, forming a human chain to pass buckets to one another, each person determined to thwart the rising tide. "Lily, over here!" shouted one of the waitresses, frantic as she struggled to manage a heavy bucket of water. The diner felt alive in chaos, each voice layering a cacophony of urgency. Thornton joined the line, assisting the waitress as they emptied bucket after bucket. "Keep going," someone urged. "We can do this." Lily joined in, her hands working furiously to keep up with the others. She felt the warmth of shared purpose enveloping her, a flicker of hope igniting among the chaos. They were together, but just then, a loud crack echoed, drowning out the shouts, and Lily froze in terror. The ceiling began to groan under the weight of water-soaked wood. Their efforts were a mere band-aid on a gaping wound. "Everyone! Let us move to the back!" Thornton yelled, his voice clear despite the pandemonium. "That area seems safer." Without hesitation, everyone followed, pushing through the waterlogged space. They reached a narrow hallway that led to a storage room, the walls lined with metal shelves, their shaky hands gripping what little hope they had left. For a brief moment, they crowded together, panting and wide-eyed, hearts racing from the fear that hung heavy around them. "We can't let this storm defeat us," Lily exclaimed. "We are stronger together." As if the storm itself echoed her words, another flash of lightning illuminated the darkened diner, revealing the determination on faces around her, fear mixed with grit. Out of the corner of her eye, she noticed Thornton standing taller, even in the midst of fear. His unwavering gaze met hers, and she felt a rush of energy. Beneath the storm's chaos was a unity that pulled them all through. But as they huddled in that hallway, they suddenly heard a deafening crash from the diner, and the floor beneath them trembled ominously. "What now?" Thornton whispered, eyes widening. A chilling thought washed over Lily. They had fought the storm outside, but now something far greater loomed. What if this was just the beginning? The raw emotion in the room tightened around them like a storm cloud. They could either face it together or fall apart. As thunder boomed again, the truth was clear: nothing could prepare them for what came next. Lily's heart raced as darkness enveloped them, flaring with shards of fear and defiance. The crash had echoed like a death knell, and the ground beneath her felt treacherous, a reminder that their sanctuary was slipping away. She squeezed Thornton's arm, grounding herself in the moment, even as panic threatened to consume them. "We need to check if everyone is okay," Thornton said, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling around them. He was already moving toward the exit when Lily caught his wrist. "Wait. We don't know what to expect out there." Her pulse hammered in her ears as shadows twisted in the flickering light. "We can't abandon them." He fixed her with a look that made her stomach flutter again. "They need us." Taking a deep breath, she nodded. Together, they charged back into the diner, where the scene felt even more nightmarish than before. Water surged higher now, and the frantic cries of the remaining patrons twisted in her gut. Every movement, every shout of an anguished customer echoed like a plea for help. "Lily, over here." Mrs. Thompson waved a wet hand as she fought to keep a stack of dishes from floating away. Without a second thought, Lily dashed over to help. Thornton followed, splashing through the knee-high water like they were racing against time. They grabbed the precariously floating dishes, her fingers wrinkling in the cold liquid. "Mrs. Thompson looked at them, eyes wide with gratitude. "You're back. We can't hold on much longer, it's too much. Just keep working. We've got to move what's important," Thornton shouted. They secured what they could, working together in a frenzy as the chaos swirled. The clattering of dishes made her heart race. Time was of the essence. Every moment stretched as they fought against both the water and the fear that threatened to overwhelm them. In the melee, another heavy crash resounded, shaking the floor beneath their feet. Everyone froze momentarily, eyes darting around in silent terror. Suddenly, a piece of the ceiling cracked above them, sending pieces of plaster spiraling down like dangerous snowflakes. "Run for the back!" Thornton shouted again, raiding the air with urgency. The crowd began scrambling, rising panic erupting in wild whispers. They rushed toward the back corridor, heartbeats echoing louder than the crashing storm outside. Just ahead, in the shadows of the hallway, a figure stumbled. A customer had fallen. "Help!" A voice broke through. It was a young man, his leg pinned under a fallen shelf. Lily's stomach twisted. They couldn't leave anyone behind. "Thornton!" she shouted, already moving forward. "We need to get him out." Horrified, Thornton shook his head. The ceiling, but Lily wouldn't let fear decide this moment. Ignoring the dread curling in her chest, she knelt by the man, quick hands assessing the situation. "We can do this together. On 3, okay?" He nodded weakly, face pale but eyes burning with resolve. Thornton joined her, and they both clasped the shelf, ready to lift. 1, 2, 3. They heaved together, adrenaline surging through Lily as the wood creaked alarmingly, but they managed to shift it enough to pull the man free. Lily's heart soared, hope flaring as they helped him regain his footing. "Keep moving. Get to the back," she urged as they shoved him onward. As they dashed down the hall, another crash followed, a final warning from the angry storm above. The floor shuddered ominously, and she could feel the vibrations in her bones. Glancing back, she spotted others struggling to keep their footing as debris fell in their wake. "Lily." Thornton's voice broke through her racing thoughts, pulling her attention back to him. He was looking out towards the emergency exit at the end of the hallway, the light flickering like a beacon amid chaos. "We have to go." Before she could respond, she felt the building shift, a low groan vibrating through the floors, filling the silence with an unsettling dread. The moment of truth had arrived. "Right behind you," she yelled, urgency mingling with a spark of courage. In that heartbeat, as the world fell apart around them, uncertainty swayed with hope. What would they find beyond that door? Would they emerge as survivors, or was something worse waiting for them just outside? The thunder rumbled ominously, and the answer loomed closer. The emergency exit door loomed ahead, and for a brief moment, it seemed like a portal to safety. With trembling hands, Lily pushed down on the handle, her heart lodged in her throat. She could hear the moaning of the building and the distant roar of the storm outside, a symphony of chaos that felt all too close. Thornton moved beside her, ready to shoulder whatever burden lay beyond. "On three again," he said, his voice steady despite the tumult. As she nodded, they both took a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. They swung the door wide open, revealing a world shrouded in darkness and sheets of rain. The wind howled like a wild creature, but outside, they could see the vague shapes of people, huddled figures who had escaped the diner's chaos. Instantly, a new wave of fear crashed over Lily. She glanced back, the shadows in the diner swallowing the last vestiges of light. "We made it!" she shouted above the wind, adrenaline pumping through her veins. "Not everyone," Thornton yelled, urgency in his eyes. He peered back into the diner, his voice barely carrying over the tempest. "We need to get the others out." Her heart sank, tethered by the weight of their responsibility. "There's no time," she protested, fear racing through her mind. "The building might collapse. Are you really going to leave them?" His voice was fierce, eyes intense, pinning her between bravery and dread. The guilt pierced through her. In that moment, it was more than just survival. This was about community, about loyalty. "All right, but we need to be quick and careful," she conceded, her pulse racing with dread and determination. The storm raged behind them, pushing them into action. She took Thornton's hand, their fingers gripping tightly as they dashed back into the chaotic abyss. Inside, there was only chaos. The water, swirling higher now, shimmered with the dim light, revealing faces of hope and despair. Lily and Thornton sprang into action, moving swiftly to help those who were still trapped. Each person they freed felt like a small victory, a breath of fresh air in the oppressive weight of fear. "Over here!" Lily shouted, spotting a small child clinging to a table leg, eyes wide with terror. Without hesitation, she reached out and offered a reassuring smile. "You're safe. We're going to get you out of here." The child nodded, trembling but trusting her. As she pulled him from under the table, the floor shifted again, but she didn't let go. "Hold on tight," she urged, wrapping her arm around him as they dashed toward the exit, forcing her own fear down. Thornton was ahead, guiding the rest of the escapees toward the door, helping them navigate the rising water. She could hear the parents calling for their kids, a frantic chorus against the chaos, and she pushed herself harder. With every step, more people streamed through the exit, bringing with them a sense of hope. Yet, behind her, she could still hear the building groaning, as if protesting their escape. "Lily!" Thornton's voice called. "We gotta go, now." She glanced back one last time, the shadows swallowing the diner whole. "Just one more," she yelled to Thornton, eyes scanning the debris. Something caught her attention, a figure still crouched in the dark, just within reach. Forcing herself to steel against her growing fears, she turned back, sprinting toward the figure. It was Mrs. Thompson, a fierce survivor, but one who had slipped in the chaos. "Grab my arm!" Lily yelled, reaching out to her even as the ground shifted beneath them. With one last desperate pull, she wrenched Mrs. Thompson free. But as the two turned toward the exit, the building screamed its final warning. Just as they reached the doorway, a loud crack echoed through the air. The ceiling above them crumbled, sending debris crashing down. "Run!" Thornton urged, urgency breaking through the terror surrounding them. They stumbled forward, the storm's fury welcoming them back into the night. But as they crossed the threshold, a chilling thought struck Lily. Had they saved everyone? And what awaited them outside was still cloaked in uncertainty, the wind howling secrets she couldn't yet fathom. The ground trembled beneath them, and she instinctively squeezed Thornton's hand tighter, wondering just how much further they had to go and what might still be lurking in the shadows. The storm may have been outside, but the real tempest was just beginning. What dangers awaited them in the unknown beyond? The wind whipped around them as they stumbled into the downpour, the rain drenching them instantly. Adrenaline coursed through Lily's veins, mingling with fear and relief. She looked back toward the diner, as if willing it to stand firm against the storm. But it had already begun to surrender, the structure groaning ominously, a haunting farewell to the people and lives inside. "Can you see anyone else?" Thornton shouted, forehead glistening with rain, eyes scanning the street for signs of life. "No. I think it's just us," she hollered back, her voice barely cutting through the roar of the wind. Anxiety twisted in her gut as she started to feel the weight of their choices. What if someone had been left behind? Around them, the other escapees were gathering, faces a mix of gratitude and disbelief. The small child she had rescued clung to her side still, a damp, trembling figure who looked up at her with wide, trusting eyes. "Is it over?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Not yet," she replied, her heart sinking. They were safe from the diner, but the storm was relentless. The streets were flooded, the wind striking like a whip. They needed a place to regroup and recover. "Over here," Thornton shouted, pointing toward an old bus stop shelter nearby. "We can get out of the rain." Lily nodded, needing no further encouragement. She guided the small boy along, urging him forward. They rushed into the shelter, huddled together beneath its weak frame. The roiling storm around them seemed almost surreal, a nightmare they had all awakened from yet still couldn't escape. "Is everyone accounted for?" Thornton asked, concern etching deep lines across his face. "It should be," Lily replied, scanning the group. There were 7 of them, all shaken, but alive. Yet her heart nagged at her, each breath heavy with the pressure of missing faces. "Do you think anyone else might be trapped?" a woman asked, her voice cracking. "What if no?" Thornton cut her off, steadfast in his denial. "We got everyone we could. We have to hold on to that." Lily felt the weight of grief hanging in the air. They had been on the brink of disaster, teetering on the edge between life and the abyss, and now they were clinging to hope like a lifeline. With trembling fingers, she reached to fix the child's soaked sweater, murmuring words of comfort. "You did so good. Just hold tight." As the rain battered the shelter, it soaked up her thoughts, forcing her to grapple with what came next. "What now?" she whispered, feeling the silence around them seep into her bones. Thornton looked outside, wary as the landscape warped in the downpour. "We need to find higher ground, somewhere safe until the storm passes." "Are there others out there?" a man voiced, terror creeping into his tone. I don't know," she answered, glancing at Thornton. "But we can't just stand still. There might be more people who need help." But the dilemma loomed. Each heartbeat echoed the need for urgency against the possibility of failure. If they ventured out into that chaos again, could they risk more lives? "Or we wait," Thornton suggested, and hope for another chance when it calms down. Lily's heart raced, torn between action and caution. Would waiting mean giving up on those still inside? We have to make a choice, she said, breathing heavily. What do we do? As the wind howled around them, every face turned toward her, eyes wide and pleading for direction. In that moment, she felt the weight of leadership settle heavily on her shoulders. But what she didn't expect was that this storm could expose deeper truths about their lives, about who they were beyond the crisis. Could bravery be born of fear, she wondered? With determination sparking in her chest, she took a deep breath. We need to go back, she decided, clenching her fists. We can't leave anyone behind. Under the tumultuous sky, she felt the group stir beside her, a slow rise of collective courage igniting. And as they prepared to face the storm once more, she couldn't shake the feeling that the true struggle was just beginning. Would they find the strength necessary to face the storm snaking through their lives? Or would they be swept away with the tide? The group huddled closer together, their breaths mingling with the misty air, the rain still pouring relentlessly. Lily took a moment to steady herself. She could feel the weight of their gazes, each one a mix of hope and apprehension. Okay, she said, her voice firm despite the turmoil inside her. We need to move quickly. Follow me closely and stick together. Thornton nodded, his expression resolute. He stepped up beside her, and she could see the determination in his eyes. We'll make a plan as we go. Just don't lose sight of one another. The small boy held onto Lily's hand tighter, his knuckles white against the storm. She leaned down to meet his gaze, brushing the damp hair from his forehead. Remember, stay close. We'll be all right. With that assurance, she led the group out of the shelter, stepping back into the chaos of wind and rain. Each drop felt like ice against her skin, but the burning urgency in her chest pushed her forward. It was difficult to see, the downpour blurring everything. Lily focused on the street ahead, a narrow path of cracked pavement winding through debris. The wind howled, nearly drowning out the sounds of chaos around them. Stay together. She shouted, her voice straining. The world was a maelstrom of sound, yet they forged through it, navigating past uprooted trash cans and fallen branches. As they made their way toward the diner, Lily's mind raced. What if they had been forgotten? What if those who were still trapped were calling out in vain? She couldn't let those thoughts anchor her down, not now. They reached the diner's wreckage, its structure leaning precariously to the side. A sense of dread washed over Lily. The once vibrant heart of the community now lay in ruins, swallowed by the storm. The memories of laughter, meals shared, lives intertwined felt haunting against the backdrop of utter destruction. Do you think we can get in? A woman's voice trembled beside her. We have to try. Thornton answered, his tone urgent yet laced with fear. We can't give up yet. A distraction might help. Someone suggested. We can make some noise to draw attention to where we are. Lily turned to them, soaking in their shared resolve. If we call out, maybe someone will hear us, she said, desperately clinging to any thread of hope. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Hello. They shouted, their voices reverberating against the howling wind. The group echoed again, desperation lending power to their cries. Again. Lily urged, her heart pounding with the strength of their unified voices. As they called out one more time, a small sound broke through, faint but unmistakable. A muffled voice, a cry for help, echoed back. It's coming from over there. Thornton shouted, pointing toward where debris had shifted precariously. We've got to get to it. With their hearts racing, they navigated the cracks and crevices, pushing aside twisted metal and wood. Lily's head spun with the urgency of the moment. Each crunch beneath their feet made her hope surge higher. When they reached the small opening, she could hardly breathe. Hello. She called again, heart racing. Can you hear us? Yes. A voice broke through the rubble, panicked yet relieved. "I'm here. Help." Lily's heart swelled. "We're coming." But just as they started moving the debris aside, the wind picked up again. A deafening crack overhead cut through the noise, deepening their fear. A new wave of adrenaline coursed through her, blurring the line between courage and fear. "Quickly! We have to act!" Thornton cried, urgency spiking his voice. As they rushed to help, fear gripped Lily's heart, a fear that drowned the rising hope. Could they truly save whoever was trapped, or would they become victims of the storm themselves? Time was slipping away. Would they expose the hidden truths, or would the storm take everything while they stood frozen in the face of the unknown? Lily's heart hammered in her chest as she and the group frantically cleared the scattered debris. Panic danced in the air, twisting like the storm outside, but there it was, a voice, desperately reaching out from the darkness. "Help!" The sound filled her with renewed energy. They weren't done yet. "Keep going. We're almost there," she called out, her voice slicing through the chaos. Thornton worked beside her, his brow set with determination. The wind howled like a banshee around them, but this was no time to falter. Suddenly, again, the murmur of voices from ahead swayed her, a mix of fear and hope intertwined. "Can you see anything?" she asked, adrenaline pushing her forward. "No. Just more debris," someone shouted back, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. Every moment felt stretched, like time itself was holding its breath. The storm raged on, but they pushed past the weight of uncertainty. Hand in hand, they shifted fragments of wood, gravel, and metal until they finally caught a glimpse of a figure. "It's a woman. Get her out!" Thornton shouted, urgency streaming from his every word. "Hold on. We're almost there," Lily cried, using all her strength to pull the debris aside. Every ounce of fear evaporated under their shared purpose. And then, at last, she saw her, a woman, her eyes wide, relief mingled with terror. "Help me!" The woman gasped as Lily tugged, determination and compassion fueling her. "Together! On three!" Lily rallied the group around her once more. 1, 2, 3. They all heaved, escaping flesh from its burial ground of despair. A scream of triumph filled the air as the woman was freed, tears of relief spilling down her cheeks. "Safe!" she whispered, sinking into a sobbing joy. Yet, just as victory swelled in their hearts, a furious crack thundered above them. Everyone froze, the world holding its breath again. The rain poured hard enough to drown their dreams. "Run!" Thornton shouted, eyes wide as he pulled people back. "Now!" Lily glanced back at the woman as she rose so close, yet the storm roared, warning them. "Come on!" she bellowed, urgency spilling over every word. Together, they surged forward, stumbling past the wreckage as the storm grew angrier, the air heavy with tension. They emerged into the grim reality of the world outside, battered but reborn from the storm's grip. The street was a mess, a waterfall from the sky, and everyone around them huddled together, faces a mosaic of fear and relief. "Is that everyone?" Thornton's voice cut through the noise, panic rising again as they looked around. "We need to keep counting." Lily's heart sank. She turned to take stock of their numbers, counting faces in the flickering darkness lit by lightning. "I think so, but I can't be sure." Then she spotted the small child she had rescued earlier, clinging tightly to his soggy sweater, wide-eyed and trembling. "Hey! You're all right." She knelt, reassuring him with a smile. "We made it out together." But Thornton was still racked with worry. What about the others? Everyone who could get out, got out. A man from the crowd spoke up, his voice hoarse. "What about the diner?" "It doesn't matter now." "It's done," Lily replied, pushing back the sadness that clung to her like the rain. "We need to focus on what we can save." Just then, there was a tremor in the air, a vibrating whisper of understanding. They weren't alone. A bond had coiled around them through fear and pain, forging something stronger, a silent promise that they could stand together, uplift one another. "Let us get them to safety," Thornton urged, scanning the street for options amidst the chaos. "There's a church down the block. We can shelter there." "Right." Lily felt energy surge through her. Together, they began to move, a living thread through the wreckage. They helped the elderly and the children, heartbeats rising amidst the downpour, each step feeling like a triumph against the storm brewing within. In those moments, the doubt began peeling away. Their eyes sparkled with recognition, the realization that they were a part of something larger than fear, with every foot of travel. They reclaimed the world, the streets filled with newfound courage, solidarity blossoming from the ashes of despair. They could not stop the rain, but here they were, rising together, proud shoulders straightened against the storm. At the church, they entered, warmth flooding over them, a glowing beacon of hope amidst the chaos. For the first time, laughter broke through a soft chorus of reassurance, of healing. And standing among them, once a solitary billionaire, now a friend, Thornton clasped Lily's shoulder. "You truly led us through this," he said, eyes glistening more with admiration than ever before. "You were the heart of it." Her smile widened, illuminated by shared victory. "No, we all did this together." In that moment, amid the stormy night, they felt the true power of community ripple through them. They had survived. They had transformed. Home wasn't just a place, it was a heartbeat, thumping strong in their chests, alive with hope. "I won't let us fall apart again," Thornton vowed, voice steady, brimming with newfound purpose. "We rebuild from this. Together." So there they stood, a tattered but tenacious group, hearts intertwined under one shared sky, a sky that may have stormed today, but would surely shine brighter tomorrow. And as whispers of possibility rippled through the crowd, Lily felt the weight of satisfaction settle in her heart. They would embrace their second chance, rising from the wreckage with courage and love. The storm may have raged outside, but within them was a fire that could never be extinguished. As dawn broke and the clouds parted, that warmth resonated deep, stronger than any storm. Now is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm so others can find this transformative journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending and what you hope to see next. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your action can uplift others. Let us spread this message.